Good afternoon. Could I ask everyone to take their seats, please? Thank you all for coming to the swearing-in ceremony for Mayor-elect Craig Lowe and Commissioner-elect Randy Wells. My name is Peggy Hanrahan, and for about 30 more seconds, I am Gainesville's mayor. So thank you for the honor of serving. It is... It is my honor to call this meeting to order and to introduce Mrs. Akila Kudus with the Muslim Association of North Central Florida, who will present the invocation. Mrs. Kudus.
In the name of God, most gracious, most merciful, it is with great gratitude to God that I stand here and acknowledge the oath-taking ceremony of our new mayor, who has pledged to be the leader of a beautiful city of Gainesville. It is with great gratitude to God that I stand here in our beautiful land, our country where man is free as man is meant to be, where one can exercise the right to choose and elect from a variety of candidates in a democratic process of who they seem to feel is most capable to lead and care for their city. We pray, Mr. Mayor, that God guide you to be the best you can be, to care and protect our city and make it a better place than you find it when you take your office. We pray that you be able to reach out to all the needs of the people and their families. We pray that no one goes to bed hungry. We pray that the sick and the needy find cure and comfort that is needed for them. We pray that our streets be safe. We pray that our children play freely in our beautiful public parks and pursue the best of education. We pray that our public facilities be productive and our town be the jewel of Florida and the nation. Mr. Mayor, as you take oath, we too give you our promise as citizens of Gainesville that we will be with you in every step of the way to bring the best of changes and preserve already what is good. Mr. Mayor, our prayers and our helping hands will be with you by your side as you run your day-to-day affairs of your office. In God's care, we leave you and our beautiful city of Gainesville. God bless you, God bless Gainesville, God bless our state of Florida, and God bless America. Amen.
Thank you, Mrs. Kudus. At this time, it is my pleasure to turn the ceremony over to Judge Walter Green. Judge Green. He will administer first the oath of office to Commissioner Randy Wells.
Again, it is my pleasure to be here this afternoon to administer the oath of office to Commissioner-elect Mr. Wells and also to the incoming Mayor, Craig Lowe. At this time, I'm going to ask Commissioner Wells if you will place your hand on the Bible. Raise your right hand. I state your name,
Randolph Wells,
do solemnly swear that I will support, honor, protect, and defend the Constitution and government of the United States and of the state of Florida, that I am duly qualified to hold office under the Constitution of the state and under the charter of the city of Gainesville, and that I will well and faithfully perform the duties of city commissioner on which I am now about to enter. Congratulations.
Thank you. Wow. Dear friends and family, citizens, commissioners, Mayor-elect Lowe, I guess we haven't had the other swearing in. I was not sure which I was supposed to do. Mayor Hanrahan, I think as adults we teach ourselves to believe that dreams are for children, that once we grow up, we should really put those dreams away and kind of live in the real world. Well, I can tell you today that for me, this is a dream come true. And for the opportunity to serve, I want to express my heartfelt appreciation. I can think of no greater honor than to be chosen to represent and work on your behalf, and I'm determined to serve in the best of my ability. And for inspiration, I'm very fortunate that I don't have to look very far to my fellow commissioners, to Mayor-elect Lowe, soon to be Mayor Lowe, with whom I very much look forward to serving, and to outgoing Mayor Hanrahan, whose service to our city is an absolute role model. I thank you all. As a citizen who served in a number of advisory boards and roles, in neighborhood organizations, I thought I already had some small appreciation of the stress and the challenges that our commissioners face making tough decisions, faced with folks that are on both sides of the issues that we respect, that we honor, who have good and strong and valid arguments for what they're saying and what they're asking. And I believe a couple of days ago, Commissioner Poe made a comment which really stuck to me. He called these the Excedrin moments. I perhaps would have called them the Malox moments. That's where I feel it, but maybe he's feeling it up here in the back of the neck or something. But for me, I don't think I really appreciated these Excedrin moments were going to be so crystal clear when I knew they were going to be mine as well. And I'll note that our Mayor Hanrahan, as the final speaker in many of these discussions, has, I think, on many occasions brought out the verbal Excedrin and really helped to guide our commission and our community forward. And I'm very hopeful that she'll leave that first aid kit handy for Mayor-elect Lowe to have. I certainly know I will need them. I want to thank my family, without whose support, encouragement, and faith I would not be here today. My wife, Ondine, who has really been my strength and wisdom, my partner in all the trouble that I've gotten into and activities and activism since we met nearly a dozen years ago, and who has given me my wonderful kids, Aleda and Eli. My folks, George and Maria, who came from my hometown in Colorado to be here today, and who taught me early on that community service and political participation aren't really an option, as many people treat it, but an obligation. Gracias, mamá y papá, por todo que me han dado. And to my sister and niece, who are also here, live here in Gainesville, who first brought us to Gainesville, thank you, and who have been just terrific support for us. I also want to thank all of you, my many friends and neighbors who have embraced me and my family, for your encouragement and support, starting with my involvement in the neighborhood and leading up to today and this new challenge. I want to especially thank and single out Lorena and Matt Heinz, who are our first friends here in Gainesville, and with whom we've shared many of the joys and tribulations of raising small kids. There are many people, of course, who have spent countless hours helping me get here today, and I just want to say, if I may, I couldn't list you all. I couldn't remember. I probably couldn't get all the list down, but certainly I want to say to Jeff Mathewson, David Raddick, Derek Helmick in particular, for giving early confidence in me to take this challenge on. And I most especially want to thank the dedicated duo of Mary and Pat, there you go, Rhodes, who worked on more than one occasion to give us really needed levity and humor to the day-and-day grind of getting here. Of the many things that I love about this community is that Gainesville is a big city that really feels like a small town. And I'm sure you've all experienced what my wife and I have started to call 2 degrees of separation. It's when you realize the coworker that you have is the brother of your child's teacher, or you discover that the owner of the neighborhood eatery is the spouse of the neighborhood printer. And I mean, there are many other examples of that. Maybe not even always 2 degrees, just 1 degree of separation. But Gainesville also has these wonderful attributes, very good positive attributes of a larger city, in good measure because of the size and strength of our university. What especially makes Gainesville unique, though, is that it builds on the homegrown talent that we have, which is fabulous and enduring. And everywhere you go, you meet folks that have lived here their whole lives or moved here and made it their home. And it's just amazing. I really found that as I was knocking on doors. It's just truly remarkable. And it attracts people from all around the state, around the country, and myself and many also from other parts of the world. And what makes Gainesville truly fabulous is the collaboration, the spirit of collaboration between those of us who are newer residents and those who are long-time or lifelong residents. And I believe it's what will make this city so resilient in the future as we look forward to making us a better community, a stronger community. Our community, of course, does face challenges. And particularly for those of us in the city government, the budget gives us a sobering review of how do we spend our money? How do we accomplish what we want to accomplish? And yet this community has consistently not shied away from tackling things that others have said are too difficult to deal with. We can't afford to do that. We can't resolve that. We can't agree on that. Things like homelessness, things like the threat to our aquifer at Coppers, like taking responsibility for the environmental impact of our energy use. These are difficult things, and yet we tackle these not because they're easy, but because we believe that it's the right thing to do. That's something that I am honored and really humbled to be able to become a part of. The strength of purpose and commitment of this community to these sorts of goals is essential to what makes Gainesville what it is. And our measure of success, I believe, will be very clear, that we can ensure that every neighborhood is livable, vibrant, and green. Livable by providing a high quality of life for every citizen. Vibrant by growing quality jobs and investment in our community. And green, environmentally healthy, beautiful, and sound. I've had the pleasure of walking, particularly, as many of you know, many of you, I've knocked on your doors personally, walking all around District 4 and other parts of our city. And each of our neighborhoods is unique and has its own characteristics, its own assets, and its own problems and needs. I'd like to find ways to give our citizens the kinds of tools and information that allow them to help guide the future of their neighborhoods. We already have so many great initiatives by city staff, who I want to be thankful for having worked, many of you, and citizens working on your own and sometimes in partnership with our staff and sometimes in partnership with others. We also know that there are many good models elsewhere that we'd like to consider. Some ideas that I've talked about, such as a citywide call number that allows us to track these citizens' concerns and not let them get lost in the jumble of the very busy lives that we lead. Or the success of a livability court where we can highlight, this has been done in Charleston, South Carolina, we can highlight how citizens can effectively address the issues that impact their day-to-day life, that really are meaningful to making this city what it needs to be, but sometimes are lost in the challenges of more serious crime matters in our courts. Economically, it's essential that we continue to attract quality investment and jobs to our community, and particularly where I live, in the older part of our community, I see the importance of this. This will mean encouraging our citizens, visitors alike, to support our local business community, to find ways to encourage our local entrepreneurs to launch those business ideas here and not to take them somewhere else. And it also means giving confidence to the many small home-based businesses to get them the confidence to grow and actually extend beyond the home. It also means attracting as well new and outside ventures to locate here in our community and bring increased diversity and quality of jobs to our community. To be measured as a true and sustainable success, however, for this community, we must succeed in locating this kind of investment and a substantial portion of this investment in the underserved areas of our city and by strengthening our existing commercial areas. But at the end of the day, I believe most of you, I think all of you would agree, we in Gainesville judge ourselves by our natural environment, the beauty and function of our natural systems, our accessibility to it for our citizens, particularly for our kids. And I believe this drives our most enduring, our most effective efforts in this city. I think here of our efforts to protect our incredible tree canopy, to preserve and restore many parks and natural areas that are located throughout this city, and our efforts to reduce the impact of our energy usage. For this reason, I believe we can and must ground our most important initiatives in making our city livable, vibrant, but above all, green. Strengthening our local economy and businesses, I believe, does that. There's not a conflict there. There's not a contradiction. Those go together. They're essential. Working to make our city gold level bicycle and pedestrian friendly, as we've talked recently. Not just for recreational purposes or commuting purposes alone, but because it'll drive the way we build our community going forward and make it both environmentally and livable in many ways. Working to make more effective energy conservation options available to moderate and low-income residents, many of whom are renters, and we've not really effectively resolved how to do that. On a final note, I'd like to recall a quote that my friend Bob Cohen and fellow Plan Board member, chair of the Plan Board, told me almost at the moment when I was starting service on that board. He said, "We're all given 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason," meaning, to say it nicely, I'd say, to listen twice as much as you talk. And for anyone who knows me, that's not a very easy task. But as your commissioner, I promise to use my ears to listen to your concerns and ideas, because I believe that you all, as citizens, are the heart of what makes this city what it is today and will determine what Gainesville will be in the future. I look forward to listening and working with each of you over the next 3 years. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Commissioner Wells. And at this time, I want to ask Mayor-elect Craig Lowe if you'll raise your right hand.
I,
State your name.
Craig Lowe,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support,
that I will support,
honor,
honor,
protect,
protect,
and defend the Constitution
and defend the Constitution
and government
and government
of the United States
of the United States
and of the state of Florida,
and of the state of Florida,
that I am duly qualified
that I am duly qualified
to hold office
to hold office
under the Constitution
under the Constitution
of the state
of the state
and under the charter
and under the charter
of the city of Gainesville,
and charter of the city of Gainesville,
and that I will well
and that I will well
and faithfully perform
and faithfully perform
the duties of mayor
the duties of mayor
on which I am now about to enter.
on the duties of mayor on which I am now about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. This was quite an unusual and long road to get to this point, but here we are. And I would like to start off by thanking our mayor, my mayor, Pegeen Hanrahan, for the wonderful years of service that she's provided to Gainesville, the leadership, the drive, the intellect, the ability to find a solution when we were looking so desperately for one. Thank you, Madam Mayor, for your service to our community. And I would also like to thank my colleagues for their service as well, and welcome aboard Commissioner Wells, my city commissioner. And I would also like to thank Ms. Caduce for your wonderful invocation. Thank you for being here and joining us. And also, I would like to thank all of those who worked on the campaign and contributed to the campaign. And I would start a list, but frankly, it's like almost everybody in this room. But I can't really say enough how honored that I am to have the confidence that you've placed in me as in supporting my candidacy and bringing us to this point. We had a great team. We worked tireless hours. We worked well together. It was almost like a family at times, coming together and working on tasks. And I think that we all had a good time and found it to be a valuable experience. And actually, we wound up with more experiences than we had thought we would. But again, thank you all so much. And now that the campaign is over, and including, hopefully, the litigation, but that we can come together as a community and face the challenges that lie ahead. Because at the end of the day, when the campaign is over, we need to go home and be neighbors to one another, regardless of what side we had in a particular campaign. And some of you may be asking, who is this person that's just been sworn in as mayor? And well, I am the first in a category to be elected mayor. That's not something that I actually hid during the campaign. In fact, it was something that was published on my campaign literature and to perhaps contrary to the advice of some of my campaign staff, and that is that I am the first University of Georgia alumnus to be directly elected mayor of Gainesville. Well, a little bit more about me. I was born in Atlanta, Georgia. My father is deceased, and my mother is in Roswell, Georgia. And some of you may remember in previous swearing-in ceremonies, she did attend. She's unable to now because she does have Alzheimer's disease. And this has been a series of, this living with a family member with Alzheimer's is a tragic experience, and it comes in stages of realization. As a child, I was very much like I am now, a very independent type person. For example, I'd hear on the news, and I would ask my mother, I said, on the news they said, President Johnson said the Republicans are just looking for political expediency. And I would ask my mother, what is political expediency? And she would say, well, you know where the dictionary is, go look it up. But the realization of not really being fully independent in the world and society in which we live really came home when I realized and saw that the woman who taught me to tie my own shoes can no longer remember to tie her own. And that brings about the importance of living together in a community, and I do very much value the community that we have here in Gainesville. My family lived in the Atlanta area, first living in the Dorville area and then later Roswell. And we sort of rode the crest of sprawl that has now engulfed much of North Georgia. As a child, I would often roam the forests and the creeks of the area, but one by one, the forests that I would explore vanished and were replaced by vast asphalt parking lots for shopping centers and apartment complexes and other developments. Now when I go back to the area, even the homes of the middle-class residents that were once there are gone, and in their place are corporate office park campuses. When you go to the Wikipedia page of the high school that I graduated from, there's a photograph of the building being demolished at the ripe old age of 30. Now, for the most part, the community I grew up in no longer exists. So when I came to Gainesville in 1982, I found a remarkable place. A place that had the vitality and has the vitality of most college towns, but which also has a reverence for the natural environment and a sense of place. A place of character in a way that was open to those who were not from old Gainesville. A place with the friendly atmosphere of a small town, but also the progressive outlook and dynamic nature that we have come to know and to love. A fervent hope that I have is that the place I know as Gainesville will always continue to exist, even as it changes and progresses. The University of Florida gives Gainesville so much of our character and vitality. Our destinies are intertwined. What is good for Gainesville is good for the university. And we need to continue the efforts of the community to reap the benefits of having such a great institution here, as well as to seek more equitable means of funding services that will be provided to it. I also want to give recognition to another great institution that has contributed much to us as a city, and that is Santa Fe College. As a community, we do face difficulties and challenges. Ironically, one of the great challenges that we, yes, a university community, face is with education. And this is in no part due to a lack of effort upon those who are involved in our educational system. But nonetheless, the challenges are steep. The level of achievement for minorities and youth, the minority youth of low-income families is very alarming. And this factor leads to a continued polarization of our community. We need to move past the solution of, well, maybe they should need options other than college. Actually, every student does. But what every student also needs is the support of a community to be able to excel and maximize their potential regardless of the income level of their family. College must be an option and a potential goal for every child in Gainesville. Of course, traditionally, education is not the purview of the city. But the need is so critical that we must look for new approaches and demonstrate goodwill in supporting our youth, who are our community's future. We in Gainesville are blessed with having a municipal-owned utility. This allows us to modify our energy strategy in a manner that matches our values as a community. Furthermore, the dividends that one would otherwise pay if they, say, had Progress Energy, for example, go to fund services right here in Gainesville. If it weren't for this structure, we would have to drastically cut city services or dramatically raise taxes. As a resident of Gainesville, I also observe with pride that Gainesville Regional Utilities has transformed from being a generally well-run utility to one that is exceptionally well-run and cutting edge in meeting the needs and challenges of our future energy needs in an environmentally responsible manner. We have greatly ramped up our dedication to energy conservation, solar energy incentives, and renewable energy. We should continue to explore new technologies in a fiscally responsible manner. There are areas in our greater community that have experienced changes that threaten the aspects of our community that we hold dear. Westward sprawl of the type I witnessed as a child and referred to earlier. But there are also areas that are in desperate need of investment that a dynamic economy will provide. The university, Santa Fe, our medical institutions, and our status as an energy innovator can serve as a catalyst for economic development that can revitalize parts of town that need it most and bring good-paying jobs to our people as we diversify our economy. As our community faces our future, we will be challenged to look for new solutions in transportation. We are up to that task, having RTS, but we must look at transportation and land use planning in a more interrelated manner than we've ever done before, realizing that doing well in one category will not erase a mistake in another, and hoping our colleagues who make decisions in adjoining jurisdictions realize the same. I said earlier that I viewed the natural environment to be a critical component of our community. It is a vital part of our heritage and we must protect it. But there have been violations of that heritage that threaten the health and well-being of our community at the Cabot Coppers EPA Superfund site. We must continue to stand firm in our position to have the site rendered to the remediated to the highest possible standards. On a somewhat different note, the city will be entering the toughest budget decisions that we have faced in decades. We will need to weigh the impact of the taxes, fees, and assessments we levy on our residents and the value of services we provide to them. As we do this, we will also need to judge how a potential decision will impact the artistic and cultural character of our community that has been so long in the making, but which could be erased in short order in the name of fiscal expediency. Yes, we do have many tough decisions ahead of us, but we are up to the task. We must look for new approaches to problems, old and new, whether it be how to help the homeless or any other difficult problem. Doing things a certain way just because we've always done that way is not an answer. In Gainesville, there are individuals with disability and who are facing physical barriers to moving about in a manner that the rest of us take for granted, and they wonder, do I matter? And yes, there is the transgender person who faces hostility that arises as quick as flipping a light switch and whose plea for equality is scorned and subverted to a false fear campaign. That person wonders, do I matter? And in Gainesville, there is a child from a low-income family whose mother works long hours and sends her children to school. That child lacks the physical and emotional nourishment of his or her peers. That child struggles with whether to stay in school and wonders, do I matter? Each of these people and people like them wonder, Do I matter? Is there a place for me in this city or in this world? And our answer, Gainesville, has always been and must continue to be, in Gainesville, Florida, every person matters. Thank you so much. Thank you all so very much. And at this time, the next item on our agenda is the election of a mayor commissioner pro tem.
Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Henry.
We appoint Commissioner Gina Master as Mayor Commissioner Pro Tem for the 2010-2011 term. Second.
There is a motion and more than 1 second to appoint Gina Master as Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Gainesville. Is there any discussion among the City Commission? Seeing none, we are ready for a vote. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Congratulations, Mayor Pro Tem Gina Master. And now, having reached the end of our agenda, this meeting is adjourned, and we do have refreshments in the back. Please help yourself. And there is also a City Commission meeting that is, well, typically scheduled at 1 p.m., but due to the fact that we are having swearing in now, I think maybe we'll, let's say that we'll convene again in the City Commission auditorium at 2 p.m. All right. Thank you all very much.